Okay, we need to remember where scale factor is coming from, right? So in our first lesson, in lesson 22, it talked about how to draw your picture. So you needed to have a center, you needed to have a scale factor or a ratio, which is your magic number to make something bigger or smaller, and you also had to have a shape of some kind, or a picture. You know, quadrilateral triangles are the most common ones that we use. So in order to do your constructions, you need all those three things from lesson 22. Lesson 23 is just focusing on scale factor, or another word for it is ratio. And that's just your magic number on how to find that magic number if they don't give it to you. I do write it down for short. I just write down, I'm sure nobody will argue about writing something in a short form. So scale factor, same thing as ratio. It's a very simple formula. So how to measure the distance between the center and the image, point over the distance between the center and the initial original point. Now I'm going to simplify that for you, and I'm just going to say that it is, you are measuring your image over your original. Now, like I said before, I really don't like using the word mirror. Kids get confused. And I don't use the word initial, but it means the same thing as original, just because my formula shortcut is I over O when I do that. So if I put initial and image, it would be a little bit confusing, but you should know exactly what that measurement is, okay? What that word means, the initial word, what that means. Now, if you don't already have, I don't think you have, on your paper, please draw a line that is 9 centimeters long perfectly. And then I will label right in the middle, so at 4.5 and at the 9. So I'm going to call this point P. I'm going to call this point P image. And this here is my center of dilatation or center of similarity transformation. So this is what they mean. You need to use your ruler and measure, okay? So you need to use your ruler. So if I take out my ruler, I'm wondering if I have a ruler on the bottom of the page here, at the top of the page. It's good to have the ruler because I do want it to use exactly the same measurement, okay? So if I have the ruler, and that's exactly, so I can put it to scale my ruler. It pops up in the top here. Okay, so I'm going to use my ruler. Like you guys said, I asked you guys to do that, is measure exactly 9 centimeters. So I can easily go do that by just making it bigger here. Okay, I can go get my 9. So it's going to be exactly like yours. So I have measured my line exactly at 9 and exactly, right? So I'm exactly at 4.5 and 9. Perfect. And in doing so, this is the measurement that I need, okay? I need to measure from center to this point. This is my original. Then center all the way, never between P and P image, center all the way to here is your image. You know that because you have your little 1 here, your little I, your little prime. So if I take those measurements and I apply them to my formula, I over O, then in doing so, I always want to write that formula. My image is a whole 9 centimeters, and my original is a 4.5 centimeters. Now, when you're doing this, you're really doing measurement O to P image over measurement O to P to get the 9 and to get the 4.5. So my final scale factor, so I can understand it better, divide, that actually gives me a perfect 2 here. And that makes sense because your image is further away from the center. So it's 2 times further away. Now there's 2 ways this could be presented to you, okay? it could be presented to you. Now I need this ruler. I'm going to bring that down over here because I will use my ruler for that question. I'm going to start with not using a ruler, okay? I'm going to start over here, not using a ruler. Because they actually gave you numbers here and here, that means I'm not using a ruler, okay? So my formula is the same. Scale factor, I over O. Easy. They're asking what is the ratio, what is a scale factor, formula. The fact that they gave you numbers, you're going to use them. So center all the way to my image is a little 5, and your center all the way to the original B. Be careful, it's everything. It's not just a 5, it's all of this. So it's 5 plus 5, which would give you 10. When I divide that, it gives you decimal 5. Now you need to realize, okay, decimal 5 means my image is shrinking. And does that make sense? Here is my center. Here is my original. And yes, my image is actually shrinking. So it should be a number below the number 1. When you use your ruler, if they give you nothing, okay, if they give you nothing, I just want to make sure I've got my numbers here. On my paper, I measured G, measurement QG, and that gave me actually a 6. So I do have to adapt my ruler here a little bit so that it looks exactly like yours. So I'm going to go here to G. That's the one I have on my notes. So I'm going to measure Q all the way, and yours should be, whoops, yours should be all the way to here. It's really tiny. Okay, I'm going to double check to make sure that makes sense. On there, I have a perfect 6. Okay, so my little ruler here, sorry, that's not G, it's actually F. I'm not reading my notes properly because I thought that looked really, really small. So I actually used the one on the outside. It's a little bit cleaner to use. And that actually gives me a perfect 6 there. So let me stretch it so it looks like your ruler. There you go. So 0 all the way to a little bit bigger. Whoops. And just so that it's right on there. So I get a 6. So I'm looking at measurement right here. Measurement, center, they called it Q, to F image, over measurement, okay? So here, let me just start that over here. Measurement Q to F image, because that's my I over O formula, my scale factor formula, and that's going to be over Q to F original. And in this case, when I measure with my ruler from Q all the way to image, it gave me a 6. And then when I measure from Q just to the little baby F here, the original, it's only 2 centimeters. So in this case, my scale factor is a 3. And does that make sense? Yes, because I can clearly see that this is F, and F image is 3 times further away. Now, when you're using your ruler, you can use anything you want. You can measure this image over the original. You can use another dilatation line if you want, E image, dilatation, and the E. You can use anything you want. You can compare this side and this side. So in this picture, you actually have 8 different options that you can use to find your scale factor when you have to use your ruler, okay? But it's always simply just I over O in that case.